You get to the end of your presentation, everything looks glorious, and the prospect says, we just really need to pray about this decision. Well, what do you do then? Are you going to sit there and kumbaya and hold their hands and hope and pray that God gives them a good feeling? Well, you can, but it might not work out for you all the time. So if you want it to work out most of the time, I'm going to show you how to find out what they really want to pray about. Come over here to the vibe board unless you like losing deals to this objection. All right, you're not going to get this as much, but it will happen. So you might want to be prepared in pretty much every industry. Prospect says, I need to think about it now, or I need to pray about it. Is that the real objection? Is I want to pray about it an objection? Does the prospect sit down on their knees and pray to God when you leave about your product or service? More than likely, no. It's their way of them saying, I need to think about it, but they're saying, I want to pray about it. So the point is, how do we find out what they want to pray about? Because that's the what? That's the real objection. So I'm going to show you how to do that, all right? So you're just going to, first of all, you're going to agree with them because you want to do what? You want them to let their guard down so they feel comfortable enough opening up to you and telling you what they want to pray about. You with me? Might want to write this down. All right, here we go. Yeah, look, Amy, that's not a problem. Now, when you say, I guess, pray about it, what specific parts of what we went over do you feel you really need to pray about? Now, I'll show you what I just did there, and I'm going to show you why I emphasized feel, okay? Let me do this again. Yeah, totally, John, that's not a problem. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, when you say pray about it, what specific parts of what we've covered do you feel that you really need to pray about? Now, why would I say feel? Why not say think? Because feel is on their emotional side of their brain. Think is what? Logical side. And how do human beings make buying decisions? Based on their emotion, and they just justify the logic. So you don't want to get them on the logical brain side. You want to keep them on the emotional brain side of their brain. So you use the word feel. Notice how I emphasize it, feel. What parts do you feel you really need to pray about? Okay, now notice I emphasize really need to pray about. Now if I do this, hear my tone if I do it like most salespeople would, with a monotone voice where there's no up or down. It's the same tone over and over. Yeah, that's not a problem, John. Now when you say pray about it, what specific parts of what we went over do you feel like you need to pray about? Oh, I don't know. I always pray before I make decisions. That's what you're going to get. But if you do it this way, now when you say pray about it, what specific, I guess, aspects of what we went over do you feel that you really need to pray about? And you put out that emotion. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to emotionally trigger their what's called emotional driver, okay? And they're typically going to say, well, Jeremy, we just need to pray about it. It's a big decision, and we're just not sure if we have the money. Now we know what the real objection is. The real objection is they don't think they have the money. Or they might say, well, it's just a really big decision, and, I need to talk with my daughter because, she had this experience with a company, offering what you're saying, and it didn't work out. Now you know what the real objection is. Now you're still there, and you can help them overcome it. Now, once you find out the objection, you're still there, you help them overcome it. Then you have to do what's called looping. You have to loop back around to help them overcome the I pray about objection. Because let's say it's a money objection, and you help them overcome it after they told you what they wanted to pray about, that they didn't have the money. You help them overcome it, and then you try to close. A lot of times they'll be like, well, we still need to pray about it. So after you overcome the objection, whatever they said, you're then going to go right here. And I'm going to show you about 4 different industry-specific examples. One of them might be your industry, so you might want to stay here on this board, all right? How about this one? After you overcome the objection, now how do you feel God would feel about you? And then you repeat back what they said they wanted. How do you feel God would feel about you? And then you repeat back what they said they wanted. Now, I'm going to show you some industry-specific examples. I'm going to show you about 4 or 5 here. This first one, let's say if you sell life insurance. Hopefully you guys can see that. I couldn't get it on the board here. I've been running around all day. So I'm going to do this. Help them overcome. Let's say it was a money concern that they said they wanted to pray about. Then I'm going to go in here. So how do you feel God would feel about you guys having like the the financial protection for Cindy and the kids. So Dan, when you pass away, they're completely taken care of without any of the stress like most people go through who just don't have the coverage. What do you feel God would want you to do? Now, do you think he's going to come back? Say you're talking to Dan and he's the main provider, and Cindy, let's say that's his spouse, she's a school teacher, she wants more time with her kids, so she took a lower salary so she could spend more time with her kids in the summer. Do you think he's going to come back and say, nope, I don't think God would want me to get insurance coverage for my family? See, it's almost impossible for him to do that. Now, notice how I said that in a concerned tone. Why would I use a concerned tone there, okay? How do you, now, hear my voice. Because if I said it like this, with a monotone voice, see how it would sound. How do you feel God would feel about you having the protection in place for Cindy and the kids, so when you pass away, they're taken care of and they don't have the stress like most people do who don't have coverage? What do you think God would want you to do? Well, I don't know. I just have to pray and ask. That's what you're going to get. However, when I change my tone into more of a concerned tone, a tone that shows empathy, that causes them to feel what? That I'm concerned for them, not I'm trying to sell them. Remember, your tone is how your prospect interprets why you're asking the question in the first place. Okay, so hear my tone. How do you feel God would feel about, you having the financial protection in place for Cindy and the kids? So Dan, when you pass away, they're financially, they're completely taken care of. The house is paid off without any of the stress like most people have that don't have the coverage. What do you feel God would want you to do? Notice how I lowered my tone, concerned tone. You with me? All right, I'm going to show another industry. Let's say if you sold for a marketing agency, okay? You're talking to companies about their branding, about their lead generations. After I find out what their concern is and I overcome it, they say, I want to pray about it. I ask them what parts they want to pray. They tell me they want to pray about the money or whatever. I overcome that. Here I'm coming back around. How do you feel God would feel about you guys getting like a higher quality lead to your sales team so you're able to scale your company to $10 million a month? What do you feel God would want you to do? See how I did that? How do you feel? Let's say in this example, they want to scale their company to $10 million a month, but the problem is the leads they're getting to their salespeople are very low quality. They can't get a hold of them. And you as a marketing agency, you're better at getting higher quality leads. And I'm attaching that. What do they feel God would want them to do? Would he want them to get to $10 million a month? No, he would not want to. How do you feel God would feel about you guys getting a higher quality lead to your salespeople so you're able to scale your company to $10 million a month? What do you feel like he would want you to do? It's going to be hard for them to say, nope, I don't think he'd want us to scale to $10 million a month. See how I'm lowering my tone? I'm repeating back whatever they said they wanted. I'm going to show you a couple more examples. One of them might be yours. Let's say that you sell business consulting services. You talk to small types, SMB type of companies. You help them, your company helps them with better operations, better systems, better process so they can scale as well. How do you feel God would feel? Notice how I'm pacing it out. That's called, let me show you, verbal pacing. Now, if you want to learn about verbal pacing and how to use your tone, you might want to hit the subscribe button because I'm about to release a lot of videos on that in the next few days as well. How do you feel God would feel about you guys putting in the right systems and operations so you're able to scale to $50 million next year so you guys are able to help more clients? What do you feel like he'd want you to do? Concerned tone. See how I end it in a concerned tone, all right? If I don't use a concerned tone, it's not going to affect them. It's not going to move them to emotionally open up because they don't feel like I'm really in it for them. I'm in it for myself to make a sale. With a concerned tone, they feel that I'm concerned for them if they don't solve their problems and get what they said they wanted. See how we're rethinking how sales is even run here. All right, let's say if you sell solar, we train tens of thousands, several thousands in this industry as well. How do you feel God would feel about you guys saving the $80 a month and protecting yourselves from being forced to pay the rate hikes like a lot of homeowners who don't know anything about solar? What do you what do you feel like he'd want you to do? Okay, let me repeat that again. So let's say in solar, it's the problems you solve is you're helping them lower their bill and you're helping them protect themselves against the rate hikes from the power companies that happen every year. And in certain programs, after 25 years, they don't even have a bill again. So let's say if this is an elderly couple, money's tight for them, they want to save money. So how do you feel God would feel about you guys saving the $80 a month and protecting yourselves from being forced to pay the rate hikes like a lot of people do who don't know anything about solar? What do you feel like he'd want you to do? Nope, he would not want me to save money and protect myself against the rate hikes. Of course, they'll be like, yeah, he would want us to do that. Okay, it's simple. Okay, so simple. All right, now let's say if they're like, I'm not sure what he'd want us to do. Every once in a while, you'd be like, well, I'm not sure what he wants to do. I'll have to pray about it. Well, I mean, would he want you to keep paying the rate hikes every month? Or would he want you to keep that money so you can give it back and help other people? I mean, what do you feel like he'd want you to do? See what I just did there? So if you ever get a prospect after you do that, which is very rare, if you do that with the right tone, say, well, I don't know, I need to ask him. You simply say, well, and look at my facial expression. So your facial expressions are like a remote control to your tone, okay? What tone? I need a confused tone, a concerned tone, a challenging tone, a skeptical tone, whatever it is. Watch how I'm concerned here. Well, I'm confused here. Well, would he want you to keep being forced to pay the rate hikes every month, or would he want you to keep that money so you can donate it to your church to help other people? Nope, he would not want me to donate to the church to help other people. See, they can't say that. See what we're doing? Okay, now I'm going to give you a couple more here. Let's say if you sell fitness or weight loss programs. This is a big industry. We train thousands in this space too. Got to get a drink here. You guys are killing me today. All right. Let's say that they want to lose 65 pounds, 100 pounds, or whatever. Let's say it's a middle-aged man or woman, and they want to lose weight because they're just really too heavy, and it's putting pressure on their organs. And they're, let's say, mid-40s and 50s, and they've got kids growing up, and they're like, I want to be around to walk my daughter down the aisle in 10 years, or I want to be around when my kids start having kids so I can see my grandkids grow up, right? If you help them lose that weight and keep it off, you're quite literally, extending this person's life so they can be around to watch all this, okay? You solve a big problem. I mean, how do you feel, hear my tone, how do you feel God would feel about you losing the 80 pounds so it prevents a heart attack, and like you'd mentioned, you're able to watch your grandkids grow up? What do you feel like he would want you to do? Concerned tone. Nope, I don't think he'd want me to lose the weight so I can see my grandkids grow up. He's going to be like, yeah, I think he would want to. Well, why do you feel like he would want you to? I mean, like, why not push it down the road like a lot of people do who never lose the weight, and then what ends up happening? Yep, you're right. Sometimes they don't get to see their grandkids grow up. See, I'm extending him into that. That's a whole nother video I could show you. If you like that, you might want to hit the subscribe button, because I'm about to release on how to ask questions that lead them into answering the question for themselves. That's on a whole nother level. Hope that helped you today.